Okay, we're ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Dawn.
Megan, you want to start or can I?
Sure.
Okay.
So we've started addressing some of the comments, but we did want to, before we address some of them, there were a couple that had some overarching themes that we wanted to discuss. The first being adding language and kind of changing the technical language of the report. I mean, the intent of this report is a technical report. It's not intended for general, consumption by the general public. So we're struggling with changing the language. We can absolutely gear the public meeting towards more layman's terms, but rewriting sections and we just don't really have the budget for it either. We've spent a lot of extra time with some of these meetings and things. So given that, like I said, it is a technical document, we're hesitant to kind of change the language and read of it. There was a comment about adding a page for acronyms and some definitions like in the front, we're happy to do that, but really rewriting the context is going to be very time consuming and, kind of change the composition of the report from what we're one used to preparing and two also used to seeing, done by other firms.
Yeah, to kind of build on what Megan's saying, like, we are writing this with the intent that you guys are going to take this document and go and try to get grant funding. So, and then also like permits, like to see when you go to get a permit, they like to see alternatives analysis. So the way that the document is structured is mainly to show, prove there's a problem. Like how do we know that there's a problem? And then what's causing the problem? And then what's the solution? So just so that the granting agencies, when they're evaluating it versus another town's flood plan, how do they know that we need to focus? They should be giving money to you guys as opposed to others. So I understand that, when you're reading it, there's a lot of like technical stuff in there that is not of interest. You guys want to see the solutions. So when we do our executive summary, like that's going to be like the first 2 pages are going to be 2 to 3 pages are going to be a summary, a very quick summary of how we got there, but it's going to show you what the end product is. So anyone interested, and then, then you keep reading if you're interested in how we got there. But so I'm hoping that instead of rearranging the entire report and putting all the technical stuff into appendices, we can just spend the first 2-3 pages in the executive summary telling you guys what you want to know, and then anyone who's interested can read further, if you guys are okay with that.
I kind of, and anybody else jump in when they want to, but I kind of, after y'all got off last week, kind of brought up that same thing that when we're looking, even with the council people, we have the facts there, y'all have all the facts, so we need that information to go to the agencies, to go to the engineers, to go to whatever to achieve, and it has the factual data that y'all provided. So we did talk about that briefly after y'all had got off last month or last meeting. But anybody else chime in? Because I think Dave, we all came to the conclusion after we discussed a little bit between ourselves that everything was in the report, but for an average person, and I brought up also like, we got a very active flood committee and everybody's reading it on here, but I don't know how many, you might have 20 residents read it. You might not have, I don't know how many residents are actually going to read the whole report anyway, but.
I could probably comment here. So,
Yeah.
Anna, and maybe you can enlighten us or me. So a grant reader is a technical person, or is it kind of a generalist who is reading the grant proposal?
They have technical backgrounds. We've had engineers and staff that have been assigned to a committee to review grants and help them and help rank them.
Okay, so
they do have technical people on staff that help rank the projects.
okay, so
Right. So yeah, like for example, they want to know if you show a map that says, oh, we need help because we're going to be flooded in 2050. Okay, well, they could take your word for it. Or they could, they could see, well, how do you know you're gonna be flooded in 2050? Well, okay, these are the sea level rise projections that are used for this area.
Mhm.
This is the current elevations, these are the current water levels, these are the current frequency of storms that occur. So that kind of data, okay, well, how do you know that? So that they need to see that data to show,
Mhm.
that yes, in fact, it's not just Donnie saying that we're gonna be flooded in 2050.
Mhm.
There is information that backs that up.
Okay, so
I'm lost on something. I don't know that we asked for any wholesale rewriting or any, deletions of any of the technical data. I thought the main thrust of what we were asking for, since in my view, the most important audience for this initially is the board. And our suggestion was that, some of that technical data, which was important, be moved from where it was to another place in the report. I don't recall, any wholesale rewriting or any deletions. Is that the impression that you got, Anna or Megan, that we were asking you to delete?
I will share. So there was two places where a similar comment was made. I don't know if one was made by one and then the other was made by another member of the committee, but so this asks for kind of the rearranging of the report. Moving things around. Like for instance, we have introduction, existing conditions, and then we jump to the vulnerability analysis, which is fine, except that there's no continuity of why are these areas vulnerable, because we didn't talk about the
Flooding analysis.
so like the flooding analysis looks like it was removed from here. Our section about the flooding analysis, where we talk about the technical stuff, the sea level rise, the H&H analysis that was done, the overtopping analysis. So that appears to be removed from here. And I think there was a request to move it in, to move it maybe to an appendices. Maybe that was there was a comment in the report that said the same thing, to move it into the appendices, or maybe here. So
And that's not good? And that's
well,
not
my thought
good?
is, so the vulnerability assessment
Is based on all of that information.
right. So if we move the vulnerability assessment, can you still see my screen? You still see it?
I
What do you
can,
see?
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
you're seeing the table, the report. I couldn't remember what I was sharing.
yeah, we can see
No.
it.
So we go into sea level rise and storms. Oh, it's very high, very high. This is dam flooding, street floods during a 1-year storm and drains in less than 30 minutes. And so like, where did this information come from? It would be kind of just hitting the reader out of the blue. So if we so that's why we're thinking, and not only that, but like things are all linked to each other. So it's also a bit of a time consuming effort. It seems easy, like just make this section the section 2, but then you've got links between tables and figures that are broken. It's just, it'll just be a few hours of, multiple hours of work to do. So I guess what we want to know is like, if this is just a kind of a preference or whether this is essential to the final product. So that we're not cutting time, like, because we're out of budget later on when we're preparing for the public meeting, for instance, if we have to cut a couple meetings because, we've spent a few hours rearranging the report.
Can you put the overview of what we asked you all to do up again,
Sure.
just as a reminder?
So this is how we have it now. Executive summary. We do have introduction and existing conditions. Then we do have the flooding analysis is the third part.
That's fine. I mean, I think that's fine. Is it in a narrative? I guess, and you guys, everyone jump in, but I mean, the overarching comment is there seem to be like a lot of scientific talk and not enough just common everyday language narrative, right? So it's just hard for just the everyday reader to follow. So, we sent you these recommendations with, our kind of, we all reviewed the report. We had a meeting, we went through it line by line. And these are our recommendations, how can we make this just more readable so people understand it? Because we were all, we weren't struggling. A lot of it was, a lot of it was great. And we are pretty familiar with this stuff. So for us, it wasn't as hard as it might be for other folks. So take some of these suggestions that we're giving you with a grain of salt, because we don't want you to do something, first of all, that's going to make, result where we run out of money and the report's not completed. And we don't want you to take out a key piece of information that's going to make it even harder to understand.
So our feelings are, if we're talking about the public, like the general public, not, people who have, a background in this, that's what the public presentation's for. The public presentation is when we really break everything
Right.
down.
But you guys are only here once. You're here, we have to rely on this report. We have to share it with people. We have to show it to people. We have to use it to leverage, grants and all that stuff. So yeah, we know that when you give a public presentation, because you did it when you did it last time, it was so clear and so easy to understand and so impactful. But we only get you guys once, but we have this report and we are going to have to explain it, show it to people. We're going to want to give them, here's the executive summary. It's the first, 10 pages. It basically summarizes everything. And when you want to dig into what it really means, well, then here's everything else. And some people are going to say, yeah, I want to dig in. Do you know what I mean? So even if all you could do was, and Dave and others, please jump in if I'm getting this wrong, but even if all you could do was really bolster the executive summary, which would basically be your talking points,
Yeah.
probably for your public
Mhm.
presentation. And then that's something that we use as our roadmap, as our talking points. It's what we print out when we have public meetings, or if we're having, some kind of event and we hand to people, because we need to sell this when you guys are gone. Explain it, sell it, use it, leverage it, all that. Does that help explain kind of where we're coming from?
I think we're on the same page. That is our intention for the executive
Okay.
summary. The executive summary is going to be like a quick, we did this, and then the final implementation plan will be shown in condensed form, of course, in the executive summary. So that everyone's this is just quick bullets of our method, and then the meat of what
Here are
does
the
this all lead to?
results.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of,
Like the sexy stuff,
Yeah.
this is what we found. These are the major problems. These are kind of some of the most critical solutions. These are some ideas for some of the funding scenarios, that kind of stuff. You're going
Right.
to put all that in the executive summary.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, so we're gonna have just very
Yeah.
quick description of what we did, very
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have that prioritization table in there that shows all the areas, how they were ranked. And then the executive summary is going to then jump to, let me think. So we're not going to put the alternatives analysis in the executive summary. They don't need to see everything that we evaluated. They're going to see
Right.
our preferred alternatives in the implementation plan. So it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
what do we recommend you do in the next 5 years? What are
Yeah.
the projects you should implement in the next 10 years, whatever the time
Okay.
scale is that we choose. And then of course they can, if they want to know, well, what other alternatives did we look at for Atlantic Avenue?
They can
go
go
to the
dig in.
report.
Okay. So, Dave and others, Carola, and I can't even see, I'm not a good Zoom person who's on the
Mhm.
phone, but what do you guys think? Alana?
So I'm still an advocate of the executive summary being first. And again, I will defer to you experts. Okay, in my opinion, when I look at a report like this, regardless of the field, I want to look at the executive summary. And then I say to myself, okay, do I need to go further? Do I need to specifically look at something that this executive summary has said? But I hear you, and I also do not want to consume all our money. If, Bailyn, if you're the expert saying that, you know, we're not going to have somebody read this report and go, I don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, that's my opinion. I will defer to the experts here.
We've, used this report format for, several other
Right.
municipalities, and they
Right.
have been successful in getting, grant funding to start implementing projects.
So I-
Yeah,
yeah.
one suggestion I might have is on the executive summary, could you then target or have some kind of a way that if they want to go further on that particular topic, that they could like go to page 47 and read more detail of this. So kind of a roadmap leading them to more detail with like reference pages or something like that after your bullet points.
So.
We
sorry,
can
go ahead.
reference the implementation plan section.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, that's what we've typically done is when we, at the beginning, when we talk about what we did, we just highlight the sections that,
Mhm.
so like, oh, section 6 is assessment area prioritization. Section 7 is flood mitigation strategies. So
Okay.
then where the information is that they're interested in, they can say, oh, I know it's in section 7.
So that's in your executive summary, like you're going to say
Yes.
section 7 covers this. Okay.
Mhm.
That makes sense. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I want the perfect to be the enemy of the good here. If we can get the most important and the salient parts of what everyone is interested in the first 10, 15 pages, like you have described, then that will satisfy, I think, every audience that we have. And then it can flow as you recommend.
Okay.
I guess I'll just have to see the executive summary to determine that. But I mean, that's kind of where I would come down.
How close are you to finishing the executive summary?
So that's usually what we do last.
Yeah.
Because
We started addressing some of the comments, but then we kind of paused because we wanted to have the conversation with you guys about some of them. So we expect to have a full draft probably by the end of next week with an executive summary. So you'll have the full report, draft, and the executive summary.
Okay. Have we seen the implementation yet? Is that also?
No.
Okay.
that's also, yeah, the last.
That, the funding, and the executive summary were kind of the three big things.
That's kind of the most part I'm curious about. What
Yeah.
how you want to solve our problems.
Right. That's what everyone wants to know. They don't want a repeat of us telling you guys flood.
Yeah.
There was one other
Do we
comment.
want to, do we want to not hold? Do we want to try to do something in 2 weeks, maybe then when we get that report and y'all can look at that real quick for another quick comment, or not to drag out the comment section, but
Be
Like
useful. Yeah.
you're saying you want to see the executive and everybody could read that and actually, because I think
Mhm.
everybody's leaning the same way. Everybody's going to be happy with the executive. Everything's going to be outlined in there that we're asking for. So we get that first, and then that'll be a great asset. And if we get that in 2 weeks and read it, would it be worth having another quick meeting and say, yeah, this is great, go ahead and final draft or not?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Or does Bayland have time? I mean, is that in your schedule? Is that okay?
Well, the thing is, the only thing I want to say, if we submit to you like end of next week, I mean, we are currently at 118 pages. So you guys may want a few weeks. I mean, and then we may be up to your next, at that point, we may be up to your next flood committee meeting, right? You guys do this every Tuesday?
Yeah, we can do that. The only thing I was thinking, like, we wouldn't have to read through the technical data. Because
I see.
most of the committee
I
is
see.
kind of
Oh,
geared
I see.
towards
Okay.
reading the implementation and the executive summary. We wouldn't have to look through all the maps and everything or whatever. But
Okay.
we can do it at the next meeting. That's fine too. We're just getting because then that'll be March and then April if we have that public meeting. I was trying to think.
Well, we gave you through section 7, I believe, last time. So, you guys can pick up from section 8 and down and then read the executive summary.
Right, that's because I think our next meeting would be what, Dave, you would be the 14th of March.
Exactly, a month. I mean, if you
And
guys
if you
want,
want to meet earlier, we can do that as well.
I think with the public meeting in April, we're happy to get your comments and get them incorporated before that, so we can get ready for the meeting.
Or what you can do is, when you get that draft ready in 2 weeks, just email it to Lauren and myself or whoever we can do, or Dave, we can distribute it and then the members can read. And then I just don't want you getting hit like with comments here, there, whatever. I like to get them all to you at once.
Yes, that is preferred.
Yeah, instead of having, if we did, each person could read and then send a comment to Dave and then we could shoot them to you the first week of March or something like that. And then by that time at the March meeting, you already have the comments. If we have that many or whatever, we can see how many we have. Shoot them to you a week early. You can take a look at them and then we can do the meeting in March and you still have a month before the April meeting, possibly have a meeting in April with the public. Like, anybody chime in, let me know what you think.
No, it makes sense.
It's just time's gonna, and we're probably gonna get busy. I know we're gonna get busy at Public Works as the weather warms up even more. But I
Works
think
for me, Don.
today was great because I think, we're all on the same page now with the executive summary. So that's good. All right, sound good?
So I only had one more comment about a comment on the report, and it had to do with substituting the photos that we have of the different areas with photos that show flooding. And I would like to possibly have both, because the photos that we have in the existing conditions are kind of, they're kind of meant to show, well, this is not a good, let's find another one. They're kind of meant to show like hold on. Of course,
Go to like 7th or 9th.
yeah, okay, so let's do 7th. Yeah, they're kind of meant to show the infrastructure that's in the air. So this one has flooding. All right, of course I could not nail the right one. But they're also meant to show like kind of what's on the side. The one we were looking at. And
There's one that had a building where we were trying to this is
yes. So for instance, here, we like the ones that don't show flooding because they kind of show like, okay, this building, is at ground level. There's no elevation to it. Here's a great, that type of thing. We show features. We've definitely, but we have a whole flooding discussion, so we can throw in photos. If you guys have photos of these individual areas flooded, that would be great to add. So you guys have sent us photos. We've incorporated those. I've gone through my coast and pulled as many photos and tried to like geographically place them in North Beach. So I've added those as well. But if there's like a particular photo here of Annapolis Avenue flooded, for instance, definitely send it over. We'll include it. I think it'll help make a stronger argument.
Can you maybe just leave a placeholder and then the next time we get your next draft, just leave a placeholder or
Sure.
comment, just say, I don't know, flood photo needed or
Okay.
whatever, wherever you have gaps.
Yeah.
And then the pictures, so that was an interesting point. You want to be able to show with the non-flooded. So here, like you're showing that the building's at ground level.
For
Does that mean-
example, yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of supports some of what we're writing about here. We got a parking lot on one side, we got homes on the other side. So those are the kinds of things we like to show. I think there was one that
Okay.
showed a swale right next to it. That if it's flooded, you can't really see that. So
It might be, if not, if it makes sense, because I didn't get that that's what, sometimes I couldn't even tell why the photo was there, but maybe like you could say, photo 22 Annapolis at 7th showing swale or something like, like kind of explaining why the photo's there in like 2 words.
So each So each area is
Yeah.
meant to have multiple photos kind of from both way, if we have them, like if we have
Okay.
photos from showing from both ways, just to help, orient people, number one. This one just happened to have flooding, whatever, the day that it was taken was flooded, so it was very convenient. But
Okay.
as you
You
can
know,
see, like, we try to
Yeah.
looking west, looking east, looking north, looking south, just to totally describe the area.
okay.
We had to do our field assessments when it was not flooded, so we could see,
Yeah.
see what was
Yeah.
on the ground and survey and.
Yeah,
Well,
this
I
one
guess
doesn't
I've
have
just,
flooding.
if there's any captions that could be put in, if it's not totally clear, and then again, we're gonna review it again and we'll add photos that show flooding, and if it's still not clear, we can always clarify maybe in the captions. If it's still not clear why the photo's there.
Mhm.
Okay.
But definitely, like, Fifth Street, unfortunately, because the construction was going on, if you guys have better photos than this, it would be highly appreciated. Like, we can't really show
Yeah,
what's going on because there's these gates around here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anytime you see a photo and you think it's not making sense, why it's there, it's
Okay.
not showing anything that's of value, and you potentially have a better photo, that would be wonderful if you could
Okay.
share it with us.
This is Dawn, guys. Remember, I have a ton of flood.
Oh, right.
photos.
I didn't know
So,
if you were there, Dawn. I was just getting ready to tell Lauren that we'll get with you, and if you don't mind looking at the draft report, and we can match, dry, wet, dry, wet.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I forgot. Hey, I'm glad you're on, Dawn.
yeah, I've got a
Um,
ton. So let me know the locations or I can look on there and provide some flood photos.
Okay, well, maybe how about this, when we get the next draft, one of our tasks, someone or a couple folks can maybe just focus on the photos and the captions. Work with Dawn, and just try to make it as, impactful as possible and
Okay.
clear. I mean, I love photos, I mean, if we could have some that are not showing flooding and some that are in every situation, that just it just says so much.
I think it goes a long way with helping the residents of North Beach
Yeah.
know why are we looking at this area? Like, does this
Yeah.
area flood enough that, or, so showing flooding helps. What the other thing we can do is we can reference these photos. So, like, for instance, like, these photos are specifically meant to show the dip in the road. So you can see how it's higher. You can see how this area is higher, and from both different ways. So it obviously floods in the low spot. And I think we talk about it, and we're along this low-lying section of road. So then here I'll just reference,
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Photo.
You could just reference the
yeah,
photo.
photo
That's
29
probably,
and photo 30, for instance.
yeah, that's probably easier, because then it's so close that the reader will just automatically go right to 29 and check it
Yeah.
out real quick.
Okay,
Like
so we
that.
can, so that maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
When we talk about what we're showing in
Yeah.
the photo, we'll
And we
reference.
That
usually
will
do
help.
do that. I think we just haven't yet because,
Yeah.
the format, we're not done. And so we don't want to start numbering things until
That's true too.
everything's inserted.
Yeah, so that's why you see all these yellow highlights everywhere.
Oh, yeah, no, that's cool.
So that was
Awesome.
it in terms of your comments. That's all we
Okay,
had.
so I mean, everything else, I mean, pretty much made sense. We had a lot of, like, I guess, little comments just where we were confused, and that, and a lot of times probably just adding a few sentences, a narrative would help us, the reader, understand.
Okay, yeah, and so we've definitely gone through and incorporated those, or most of those at least. We're not quite
Okay.
through all of them yet.
Cool.
And then we've typed in responses into your comments, so then we'll send you that document along with this one, so you can see how we've addressed each of your comments.
Good.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that our comments were mostly understandable.
Yeah, for the most part. I didn't have trouble with it.
That's a good comment to make on us.
Oh, the last thing I will say is that, we added the 9th Street pump station, and it changed things a bit. So
Okay,
we kind of updated our prioritization table, where we've moved 7th Street and 5th Street and Atlantic. They're now 1, 2, 3. Before they were 2, 3, 4. And then 9th Street is kind of back to 4. So
Oh, because it has a pump station.
Mhm.
Because there is, once they reran it in the model,
Yeah.
the flooding wasn't lasting as long as some of
Yeah.
the other places.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
All right, well, thank you, ladies.
Yeah,
Alright.
thanks a lot, you guys. So when are we gonna
Thanks.
talk again? I didn't hear the schedule. So in a couple weeks, we're gonna get the draft and
Mhm.
then,
And then
Okay.
we can either wait until the next flood committee meeting, or if you guys want to try and get something on the books sooner, just reach out and we can.
What I said, Lauren, is we might do is we'll get a draft, sent email to me, you and Dave or whoever, and we can distribute it. And then if we read through, once we get that, and we want to send comments back to Dave again, and then give
Yeah.
Megan and Anna like a list of questions a week before we meet for the next flood committee meeting, they don't have to look at those, and we can, be done at the next meeting, like this, they can give them a heads up instead of waiting until the meeting to give them the list of items.
yeah, like we could give it, I'd probably give them
Because
our
April's
comments
getting close. is
in
the only thing I'm
advance,
thinking. Yeah,
and then at our next meeting, we could have a similar discussion like today, where if you guys had any final questions or concerns or whatever, we could chat. The public meeting is tentatively planned for April, right?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I
Yeah.
mean, that's right? Is that what y'all were thinking?
think so, right, Megan?
I mean, I know we have some, padding here and there.
Do you have the dates in mind?
There was that schedule that you guys sent around. Do you remember the schedule with the bar graph, not a bar graph, it's like a line schedule?
Yeah, April was the second, it was the second public meeting, and then June was the final completion.
Yeah.
When is your grant
It was
closed?
June, I believe.
I think it was the end of June.
Okay. Well, then we got plenty of cushion.
Yeah, and we put some cushion in there. Like I know you all were trying to get the report done. Does it say April? I think public meeting beginning. Maybe that's what it says. Public meeting beginning April. Final report end of April. Yeah, we put a little
Yeah.
cushion in there. I mean, I'd rather get it right than try to just meet.
Yeah, we had the public meeting just tentatively April 1st and then submit
Yeah.
the final at the end of April, but we knew, that gave us a couple month buffer
Okay.
to work with.
So maybe we'll adjust. Let's just check in on the schedule at our next meeting and see where we are. Does that
Okay.
sound good? Flood
Yeah,
team?
and if you let us know, I
Yeah.
guess, possible dates in April. I know I'm gonna be gone for school spring break,
Okay.
because my kids are out,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be on vacation. So if you guys have any other, if you know your dates, we can start putting a hold on our calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
like,
Even if you don't officially schedule it, if there's dates in mind that you have your public meetings, we can put holds on our calendar.
Okay, and we can talk, Dawn, I don't know if you're still on with chat with Dawn and Stacy about other things going on in town, make sure we don't,
I'm here.
Oh.
Yep.
okay. Okay, cool.
Yep.
great.
All
All
right.
right.
thanks.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I don't know what the big deal is about rearranging stuff, but apparently it's a big deal.
I think they were talking about, Dave, not just more flowing. Not that, you know what I mean, to get it in a flowing the way they are looking at it, I guess. But
Hey,
I'm,
I'm not the expert, but
yeah, that's what I
Like I
said,
said,
a
if-
few, so I can't, say, but.
if we can,
looking at it
if,
from an engineer point of view, and like this flows to this, that flows to this, flows to this, maybe.
I honestly, I could have rearranged the thing in about a day and a half, but what do I know?
Are they rearranging any of it? I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of the meeting.
No,
No, they're gonna bump up the executive
Executive
summary.
Executive summary will be first, and they'll put more information in that. So if you're reading it, it'll give you more of a. what's
Okay.
going on.
They did not like the idea of appendices, where you put all of the data that we can understand. in the
Okay.
appendix, yeah.
But yeah, but think about it. If we have a really robust executive summary up front, right?
Yeah.
That's mostly what everyone's gonna read.
yeah,
And
And
piece, I'm-
basically, everything else in my head is an appendix.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I agree. I just don't, knowing how people read stuff, if we don't get them in the first 12, 15 pages,
Yeah,
forget it.
that
Yeah.
executive summary. And did they talk, I mean, I don't know if this is a good idea, Dave, maybe you probably have thoughts on this. In the executive summary, when they're talking about, I don't know, flood mitigation strategies, the top 3 or whatever, right? Would it help to like, say, see section 4?
That's what they.
Oh, yeah,
they're gonna
yeah,
do.
that's exactly what Gary asked for.
Yeah,
when-
that's what he's
when he spoke
recommending,
with-
yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's how my brain would work. Because if
Well,
I was interested in
exactly,
it, I
that's
would
how,
just,
yeah. I think if you're going to be reading these proposals, like, you're usually looking at 10 of them. and so
yeah,
I read the executive summary and then look at some details, but you don't read the whole report usually. Well,
right.
If you're a reviewer, you
Mhm.
just can't do it, you know?
Right, but
Okay,
that
so
was-
we'll have to make sure they do that, and then that executive summary, like I said, it's gotta be something we pull out and we wanna like have it as a handout. We have to be able to speak from it, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
not sound stupid.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think they did say that though, didn't they, Gary, that they're gonna do that and then reference section 7, reference section 8,
hmm
the executive summary, and for the solutions.
Well, I guess I would expect more detail that if they're going to talk about implementing raising the 9th Street, if they could go directly to that within a section,
hmm
rather than just section 9, which is, then you have to search for it in section 9. or whatever.
Okay, so
gonna-
maybe they'll
yeah, I
go to
gotta-
like, they should actually be able to link to the subsection.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, I don't know. Do you think they're up to links? I don't know.
Yeah, no. I
Like
think
too
not.
advanced, I don't know. Linkings. I mean, we might be asking a lot for a 75 grand here. guys.
Yeah, that's kind of ultimately where I came down well, let's wait and see what we have next go
That's-
around. We might-
I'd
we might be
recommend
ready.
getting a draft and seeing what they do from today's
Yeah.
meeting in 2
Yeah,
weeks.
Yeah,
I think we're all probably a little frustrated. We haven't gotten the implementation plan yet.
Right.
No, I
I
am. So
know.
I'm like, where's the
yeah.
meat?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree that if we wait a little bit
Yeah.
and see what they've got when we actually get to
And-
see the implementation, it might actually
Yeah.
give us a better place to come back with comments.
Luke, I didn't want to press them on this, but so if they do an implementation plan, say if they raise the 9th Street road, how much difference does it make? Does it solve anything? But they're
Uh-huh.
not going to do that, but it would have been really interesting if they turn their models loose on their implementation plan. But I think we're beyond that. I'm
Yeah.
guessing. I think I made that point to you, Lauren, that we
Yeah.
see what these changes are going to make, if they're going to make any.
I thought they were doing that.
Are they?
I thought they were gonna model the fixes or the
I would hope,
solutions.
I would love to see that, but
No, I thought they
It's
were.
already
doing-
in there, Gary. I'm pretty sure if they show you, like if they do, whatever they do, and with
Yeah.
that map they had, then it shows you what effect it has on the area. That's
Okay.
part of the, already in there.
okay.
But we,
I
yeah,
mean,
but
I don't
we
want to
also.
say for sure, but like, I don't mean to interrupt you either, Lauren, but
That's fine.
yeah, they have, I know they have a section in there where she talked about and maybe it was when I went up and met with them one-on-one. It shows like if you raise 9th Street and then it shows what that solves, boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
And
right,
then if you
okay.
put a pump station at 5th Street, then what that does to 5th and Bay, Chesapeake and the surrounding areas.
I must have missed that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and that might have been when I went up there and met them, at their office. I don't
Yeah,
know if they did it in the meeting last time or not, but I know they did. Their modeling does show that.
okay,
Yeah,
nice.
but like I say, wait and make sure you're getting what you want, because it might have been when I went up there and talked to them at their office.
Okay.
Sorry, Lauren, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. That's all right.
Well, Donnie, give us an update on Fifth
That
Street.
damn
whatever.
thing. No, we were down there today and we tried to get in and try to do some work, and the tide was probably at flood stage, pretty high tide today. We made the pump pit didn't have the concrete raised base like the plan showed, like the as-built plan showed it had. So Public Works, they wanted $8,800. The contractor did to do a pad in there, but we said that was too much money. So Public Works, we worked with our concrete guy, and we poured a pad, built a pad for the pumps to sit on. And we got that all did on the beach. And we actually laid out the where the pumps go, the discharge 90s, laid that out, drilled the holes, put the bolts in, and we picked up the pad and actually set it down in the wet well last week. The guy showed up today and they were planning on, piping it all. The tide was so high and we, kept trying to pump it down. but the duckbill was allowing water to come in.
The new duckbill, the new duckbill.
Yeah, the new duckbill was allowing water to come in and we don't know exactly why. So the engineer, I had him come out this afternoon at 1 o'clock. He's gonna send something, get a manufacturer's rep down. But we're gonna try again tomorrow. We did some stuff. We pushed some sand away from, we had all that rain Sunday. And the duckbill opened up and we don't know whether a piece of wood or stick or debris got in the duckbill and it's stuck in there now. Because it was sealed last week. When we put the concrete in, we had everything set. We had to go in and then drill and bolt the concrete down to the existing slab. So we got all that done last week. And it was dry and, we could pump it down and work in there. We only had about 2 inches of water in there. We had all the rain Sunday, the duckbill opened up. It let water go out. I had my guy come in halftime of the Super Bowl and he turned on the pump that's on the beach to manually pump some of that water out so we didn't flood the street.
Wait, you bought a guy from a Super Bowl to just do
Yeah,
that?
man, at halftime. We waited till halftime. We waited till the halftime. He said he wasn't interested in the halftime.
You're like a hard task manager,
So,
man.
Yes.
Yeah, get your blood down there, go ahead and turn the pump on. And so he went down there and did that and got that fired up. But, and like I say, today, the tide was probably high. It's flooded at Seagate there when you go out of.
It was so high today.
Yeah, it was high today. So it was like, of course, the guy would show up to do everything and the tide messes up. So we're going to try again tomorrow. The pumps, I don't know if anybody, I told you last week or not, but the pumps been sent up to the factory. They were test ran. Only thing they had to do was change the oil. They repainted them and they put new cabling on them. So the pumps are okay. They'll be under warranty. They'll full factory warranty. So that's good
Oh,
news.
nice.
They should be
Great.
gone probably this week and we can go back up there and pick them up in Annapolis and bring them back down. The control panel, that should be here any day now. And like I say, the contractor has about 2 days of piping work in the pit to get that up and out. So we could potentially wrap this thing up mid-March, I think, if everything works out right.
In March, end of March.
Mid-March, yeah, probably.
Wow.
So they're trying to get it completed. We're probably gonna have to go with instead of a big concrete top on there, we're gonna probably go with the aluminum grate screen on there because we're gonna have the pipe come up a foot or so out and then discharge straight over, and we don't have enough room between the duckbill and that, so we can see it.
Nice.
And then also it'll be easier to remove the grates and pull the pumps instead of trying to get
Yeah.
the doors lined up right where we need it at. So I
Nice.
got Bay Metals, a local company right up there in Dunkirk, coming out to do, the engineer while he's down today, also he's gonna give them a sketch of the layout of the support we need for the pipe, the support we need for the deck, and then get that fabricated right up here in Dunkirk, and we'll be able to install.
Cool.
So
When is the duckbill man coming out?
he, the engineer is gonna call, he saw the problem today, so I had him come out because I wanted to show him. He's gonna call the manufacturer's rep, but he's also gonna email the contractor to put them on, like they should get the rep out there. So he's calling both ways.
Yeah,
So I won't know nothing. He just left at about 2 o'clock today.
yeah.
To go back to his office in Germantown. And he was gonna try to get a hold of somebody today, but if not tomorrow morning, just to let him know. He took pictures and everything of what was going on. But it might, like I say, very well could be, because if you looked in there today, from the rain we had, I mean, we had some good sized sticks, leaves, debris, so it could be just a stick that got wedged in from all the flow that we had Sunday. So we're hoping to get in there tomorrow and we can pull anything out from the inside. I took the backhoe yesterday and plucked away anything we could on the outside of the duckbill to clear it, but we're hoping to pump it down enough where we get on the inside tomorrow and look inside there and pull out anything that might be stuck in the duckbill. The bad news about that is I can see that happening more than once.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know any way you can protect it really, because if you put a screen over it, then you got to clean all the stuff, nothing gets out. So it's kind of like catch-22.
Yeah.
That happened before with the old duckbill?
That happened at the 9th Street a couple times, and we actually had a diver go down in there one time, had a diver put on his whole diving suit, went down and cleared it. We started to call the guy back because it happened again, but we got a rain and actually Mother Nature took care of it and blew out what was in there. So we went there to look at it the next time and it was clear and it stopped running. And the same thing's happened with the duckbill where it's been, backflow coming back in from the bay. We get all set up to go down and clean it out and you go down there and it's not running, whatever it did, freed itself. So it's kind of that pump ran, the little portable pump ran on the beach and we put the discharge so it would be inside the rock area. So it'd be, catch it as a silt base and then we could clean that out. So I'm not too sure that all that flow didn't shoot some sand and stuff down towards the duckbill also. So that might have added to it a little bit, whereas, the direction of the hose is pointing right at the duckbill instead of out on the rocks, but I wanted to keep it in the rock area to contain any silt that comes out of there, so we can clean that out, so. But life in the big city, you know what I mean? Job security, I guess. But
That's progress, Donnie.
yeah, but it is progress. Like I said, the pumps, luckily, we don't have to wait 16 weeks for new pumps, so that was real good news.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and they're
Just
gonna
don't-
paint them,
yeah.
so that's
Just don't
good.
throw them in your shed, Donnie.
No, we're gonna leave them right on the beach where they belong.
Put them in my garage if you want.
Right, right.
I don't know. I don't know
Say
about your
that.
garage.
Yeah, right. Something might happen there, Dave. I don't
Like-
know.
No, no electric vehicles.
Right.
No electric vehicles, right?
I wasn't really that worried about him, but then I called the rep and I was like, man, if it could snow, you think they'll be better out there? He's like, well, I wouldn't be worried as much as we had 11 pumps where they cut the cable and they took it to the scrapyard. They had a job somewhere. I don't know, it was in Maryland, but they went out and they just cut the cable because they couldn't pick up the pumps. But they grabbed the cable and they threw it on a truck and I guess, stole the cable and actually scrapped it. So then I started thinking about that. I was like, man, Christmas week might be a long weekend. You never know. So another brilliant idea I had. But
Oh, it's okay. It didn't turn out that bad.
it was crazy on those pumps because they were in wooden crates and the whole crates burnt and everything around them. But it didn't damage the pumps as well. You couldn't even find the crate. The crate was gone, but the pump was sitting there. But that might have been enough to stop the pumps from getting all that direct heat, maybe though.
Yeah.
By the time the boxes burnt and were, gone, the fire department got here and put it out about the same time. It might have been good, maybe, or who knows. But that's, so hopefully Gary, mid-March, we'll be done with that thing.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
gonna be so
next-
exciting. Have big
Right.
April storms.
Yeah,
Right.
wow.
Hopefully,
Can't wait
hopefully we'll
for it.
beat the April spring rains.
Yep.
I don't have anything, Dave, and then the only other thing, like, I said, I know we talked about, doing that, the flood month, like a thing over here at Public Works, so maybe, but I don't know if we were gonna tie that into the April meeting or, whatever. Or we did talk a little bit about waiting to see what the study showed for the resident homeowners, like what solutions they came up with, and then we could go.
Yeah, we were gonna,
after-
that's right. And we were hoping to
Directly
have,
after, what factory reps we needed to contact, depending on what solution.
and we don't have the implementation strategy part of it, so we don't really have
Right.
any.
Right, so we can do that later in the summer too, so it doesn't matter.
Is Tom Licky on?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Tom, you want to give us the news on the FEMA grant?
Yeah, call me in June.
There you go. He
That was
said it.
you get that's how exciting. I'll keep it fast. We got an email this morning and I just forwarded it on to the mayor and yourself, Lauren, I don't know, half hour ago or something. And
Okay.
it just says FEMA will get back to us in June or July.
Hmm.
And not much for me to drive at, like Luke had mentioned, without an implementation strategy. I don't really have any gospel to kind of
Yeah.
recommend the next grant. So you're
Right.
still in the running.
We're still in the running. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so all good. I was gonna say, it's all good. Just call me in 4 months. I hate to say it, but that's not the timeline I'm used to.
But so it's with FEMA, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. That's actually, we set a low bar, so I think that's success.
Okay.
But
Bar's
I
down.
guess some of us, we weren't really sure we would get this far, so.
Yeah.
Thanks to your
Sure.
guidance, Tom, and Carola and everyone else, Alano helped out,
Sure. Thank you.
Dave,
Yeah.
everyone, really.
Yeah, no other real update with besides that.
Okay, cool. What else do we have on, Dave?
Well, we were going to talk about the vendor meeting for April, but we just decided to keep that where it was until we get some sort of idea from the Bayland plan. And the other item was just any new business that anyone wanted to mention.
I don't have anything. I do like the idea of doing the vendor fair, like tying that to the public meeting somehow. I think that could be pretty interesting for folks. Maybe it could just be not the same day, but the same week, like a flood week or something like that.
Are we going to advertise that meeting publicly? Brochures, not brochures, just, I don't know, how do we do it? I don't.
Well, we would like the public meeting for the Bayland thing. We had a really good turnout for our first meeting and really we just sent out, I think, and again, I don't know if Don's still on, but we sent out a couple email blasts and texts and we had stuff on the website and that seemed to be pretty effective. I mean, considering like town council meetings, you only have like 2 people show up. And we had like 30 people show up. I mean, that's pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We did email
It's a
blasts.
really
we
good
did
turnout, I thought.
Oh,
text
Don's here.
notification.
Don's
I'm
on.
here. Sorry, I keep going in and out.
That's
I had
okay.
to run up the hall and back, so I'm out of breath, but we did email blasts, text notifications, things like that, so. And if we know far enough out, we can put it in, a resident guide or something like that.
Oh, yeah, like, do you mean, the resident guide? Yeah. And did we
Yeah.
reach out to the HOAs? I don't know. Do we do that? How does that work?
Yeah, we have contact information for each of
Okay.
them, so,
Because I know that there's interest in both of those HOA communities.
yeah. I feel like we did something else too, but we didn't put signs out, did we? No.
I think, yeah, no, we had a sign on our main sign. I think
I
it
mean, we
said,
do the town signs, we did
Yeah.
that,
yeah.
so.
Usually we also advertise something simple like in the post office, because most people,
Post office. That would be
yeah,
a
we'll just put
little
up a flyer in the post office. 'Cause
flyer.
Whoever in online usually goes to get your mail, and at least it'll be in the post office too.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
Maybe Peg will let's put something up at the Fast Stop,
Fast stop.
because everybody goes to the Fast Stop.
Everyone goes to fast stop. Where else do you get your beer?
Very true.
All right,
So
I
the
don't
only
have-
other thing,
Go ahead.
I said, the only other thing, Donnie, is I guess we'll wait to see the next iteration of the Bayland plan and then decide if we all want to get together
Yep.
prior. And that might be a good idea. It might be a good idea for us to chat about what we get and then come to Bayland, so we can have a good, a good discussion.
I think.
Well,
so.
we'll see. We'll just see. We'll just keep, so.
Yeah, I
people-
thought that was when we all got together. I think, and we had a little bit of time to, everyone reviewed it in advance, but I think it helped us kind of really focus on what our issues were.
Yeah.
Probably made the communication back to Bayland more helpful rather than all of us just
Even though they
having
ignore,
disparate, maybe overlapping comments,
Yeah.
Let's do that. If we get it in 2 weeks, we'll plan on having a meeting the first week of March. you know,
Yeah.
Amongst ourselves, and then that gives us. A week or so before we can send the comments to them.
Yeah.
Give them 10 days to look at them before we have our next flood committee meeting, I think.
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Hey, guys.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Happy
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's.
See
All
ya.
right.
All
Okay,
right.
good to see
See you
everybody.
later.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Oh, who's?